What is up, and welcome to Twin Dragon Podcast Show. We're your hosts. My name is Mike.
And I'm Bobby. The show will be about two young working professionals going through the craziness of life. We'll have fun conversations about current events and what's happening in our lives. So, why do you want to know more?
Well, if you're bored at home, eating, or just chilling, and want to listen to something new, you've come to the right place.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Twin Dragons podcast. My name is Bobby,
And my name is Mike.
and we're your hosts. So, yeah, we're just here back again in the pod, just trying to see, what's up with us, and so that you can share with y'all. What about you, Mike?
Yeah, so glad to be back. We're wrapping up another week, winding down to make another podcast. And we're excited for you guys to join us. So thanks again for tuning in. So what are we going to talk about today, Bob?
I think I wanted to talk about, or I guess for the audience, they don't know the intense studying you've done, for how many months? 6 months, almost half a year.
4 months. So that's like a third of the year.
A third of a year you've been studying in Texas, in your room, in isolation. And then now you're just thrown back out in the wilderness of New York. How has that been for you?
Yeah, so just a little bit of background. So in the beginning of this year, I was studying for my board exams in January up until the end of April. And like Bobby says, I'm back in New York for the month of May, and we're at the end of the month of May. And yeah, it was interesting to get back to New York City, the Big Apple that everybody loves to, get a chance to go to and get a chance to live and experience. But I'm gonna tell it to y'all straight in this episode. I'm gonna just give it real. It ain't all that, like, TLDR for all y'all listening, it ain't all that, at least for me. And so yeah, it's a bit different, especially since I grew up in Texas, and you did too, Bobby, right?
Yeah.
We both are from Texas, and New York is just a different ball game, Yeah, so I think the first thing I want to touch on is that commute. So, like Bobby was saying, I was studying at home in my room for like 4 months, didn't have to go nowhere, didn't have to do that much. But, coming back to New York, back in my apartment, and most people, everybody basically lives in an apartment unless you're like super wealthy in New York City. And one thing that most people do is commute. And I had to commute back to my rotations in New York City, and specifically I had to go to Harlem. I don't know how familiar most people are, but Harlem is not where I'm currently living. I live in Washington Heights. So New York City, Manhattan is divided into different, little boroughs or neighborhoods, and I'm up there in the north, and Harlem is a little bit south. And so I had to commute. I had to ride the subway in the morning. And yeah, the subway in New York is something. Let me tell you guys that it's something. And why do I say that? Well, number one, it doesn't run on time.
Why is it that it doesn't run on time?
Oh, well, first of all, it's because it's super old. You got a bajillion people, going back and forth on it. And things like happen, just the other week, somebody like, I don't know, somehow got in front of the train and got hit by a train. So that delayed everything. And so they had to stop the lines running, the subways running. And so that caused delays, or something malfunctioned and the train can't come on time and it just gets backed up. And since there's so many people going back and forth, people don't want to miss trains. And so they hold the subway door, which you're not supposed to. And so that slows down the conductor from closing the subway to, keep going, because they got to keep like trying to close the door, but people keep holding it. And so that causes time. And so that causes delay in the schedule.
Yeah.
It's all these like different things that happen.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because Like you're in this big city and everyone has to go somewhere and everyone's dependent on this one train, just one huge long train. And if one person does something wrong or slips, everyone's affected. And it's not just like a person working at a subway or something, or like a restaurant, but it's like doctors, you like a residency actually helping people, nurses, teachers, children going to school, or even teenagers going to school, for example. And it's crazy that that an old system is still kind of running that kind of way, and people are, I guess in a way not being cautious of what they're doing, and not really realizing that a lot of it, what they do, affect other people.
Well, there's just too many people in New York, and most of the time people are like always, like, oh, I gotta go somewhere. Oh, I gotta take care of my business. And I ain't got time for you. Like you can see people like speed walking, trying to catch the subway, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
if it's about to go, I'll like stick a hand in to keep the door open and just like, try to hop in. And yeah, like you said, one thing can cause another, and it just becomes like a snowball effect where it just like causes massive delays, or some issue with the subway, the door won't close properly, delays. And it takes them like a long time for them to send up another train to you know keep traffic going. And especially on the weekends, since people aren't working, they just like shut down multiple like subway lines because they need to do repairs, like a million repairs every single time. And so that line doesn't work. And so you have to like find a different subway to get to where you're going usually. Or the train isn't running express, so they are like making local stops, meaning they're stopping like every single station along the way before you get to your station, so that takes the journey even longer, which means trying to get 2 miles on Manhattan is literally like 30 to 40 minutes. Whereas anywhere else in the whole country, I feel like 2 miles, bruh, you can walk and you or run and you get there faster. And if you bike, instant. You drive, just hop in, 2 minutes, I don't know, like there. But in Manhattan, 2 miles is like 30, 40 minutes. And it's just like absurd.
Yeah,
It
I
was,
think that is kind of crazy that, I guess, yeah, I think even for me, when I was there, I guess there was two different contrasts that I saw, when I first arrived the first time to New York, that, it was, I guess, pre-COVID, it was kind of crazy. Everyone just jam-packed inside each other into the cart. And to the point, you're really squeezed between everyone, and you can really be separated by, I guess, the group of people you're with. And I know that's happened to us, where we had to like really cling on to each other. And if we were to be separated, I think it was during the summer. No, actually, it was like, I forgot actually. I think it was around your birthday time of a few years ago. And then during COVID, it wasn't as packed, but for some reason we still end up kind of like having to rush ourselves to go downstairs to the subway to to catch it. But I guess in a way it's kind of weird that we still end up, even though we're not gonna be late. I guess for myself, I rush still. Maybe it's just instinct, because you never know.
yeah, I mean, because like the next train usually comes like 10 minutes later or 15, or it can be delayed, and who knows. And yeah, subways can be super packed. And it's already starting to become packed again, like on the weekends when everybody's just going out. Like you're just all squished together, and
No one cares.
yeah, no one cares. At least most people are wearing masks, unlike some of the states in the South. But it's still packed there. And another thing to be careful about is like people will pickpocket you. I mean, like,
Yeah, that was a concern for me when I first went there.
yeah, so people like wear their backpacks in their front, and they don't put anything in their back pockets. And they even show signs to tell people to not do that, because tourist people come and they don't know better, to be cautious about that, because people will pickpocket, especially when it's in a crowded subway. You won't notice. And there's also like homeless people who sleep on the subway. And homeless people, or people who like solicit for money or random things, or like just sometimes bother you. And then everybody in the subway is either on their phone trying to ignore you, or not on their phone still trying to ignore you, or just, yeah, one of those.
Yeah, and I think just to help people give clarity, yeah, I think there is a lot of people who beg for money, and it's a regular thing you see. And I think in a way, for me, I feel sorry that they're in that situation, that they have to beg money, or they have to come up with certain schemes to get money.
It's
And
actually illegal to give money on the subway.
oh, really? I did not
So
know
I've
that.
heard. So I've heard.
And then I think also just the subway itself is like, a lot of people are coming back from somewhere and they're tired, and it's, I guess they're hoping to just kind of get some calmness in the subway. But the subway, essentially, we both kind of in a way end up falling asleep somehow in the subway. And you don't want to talk to anybody when you're like trying to fall asleep, or just trying to keep to yourself in a way.
Yeah, and also I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a little cautious about dozing off because
Yeah.
of those people, that are kind of like sketchy. Like the first time I came to New York, and like I see these like people beggars on the subway, they're like super loud and super like in your face, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so weird. And so like I feel like, where am I? Because we don't get that, because in the South, like in Texas, we drive our own cars, and in our own space,
Yeah,
whereas on the subway
it's
you're
not that
sharing
crazy.
yeah, you're sharing space with people. um and yeah, that's just the commute. I can't imagine people like commuting every day. I mean, like I had to do that for my rotation in this month. Thankfully it was only like 30 minutes, but I feel like some people spend like 2 hours on their commute to work, or a decent amount, and that's like so much time of their day going back and forth, like literally not even that far for work. Um, and yeah, this is crazy.
Do you think that you would want to try to do a different type of transportation? Maybe the bus would be better, or maybe in hopes that they do update the subway somehow.
The subway's never gonna get updated. I heard like, the MTA, which is the thing that's called the Metro Transit something. I don't even know what the A stands for, but it's like the governing body for like the transportation for like New Jersey, New York, and maybe Connecticut. I don't even know what the third one is, but yeah, people say it's corrupt, man. Like they don't
Really?
really, yeah, they get all this money, but they don't really like do anything. Well, they do stuff, but it's like it takes more money than it should. Like, there's like a subway station um, near my hospital that I use to get to the subway. Like it's like the main one, and they closed it for a year basically just to repair 4 elevators. And that 4 elevators, like I can't remember. It was like for the 4 elevators cost a total of $25 million, or some like absurd amount of money. And like the reason is that they put these contracts out, like MTA put these contracts out to these companies, and there's no like competition, so they can just call whatever price they want. And then like I'm sure these people get kickbacks and stuff. And like there was like a news article recently of like some MTA officer has like boatloads of money or something somehow. And like there's like workers who like say there's like on the news that are like getting wages without even working. And like people just jump the need to like swipe their metro card to get onto the subway. Like you have to pay 275 for each ride, and like a lot of people probably don't. And it's like all these sort of like issues that prevent you know them fixing the system. And like there's so many tourists coming and going, and like they don't care about the subway system. They're just here for like, I don't know, 1-2 weeks, so like why would they
Yeah.
care? And so it's just hard to do all that. And in terms of like buses, so buses are also under like the governing body MTA. There aren't homeless people on the buses, at least. Homeless people sleep in the subways and in the subway stations. They can't do that on the bus most of the time. Maybe they sleep at the bus stop, but not in the bus. And I mean, during COVID, it was crowded, so I didn't ride as much, except for one rotation last year. I would say the bus is more reliable sometimes than the subway. It can also be not reliable, but people usually don't bother you on the bus, and I would say it's better. But if it's traffic hours, like when New York is rush hour, it's like basically the same thing. You stop at every single light. People are like rude and just honking all the time. Pedestrians are just jaywalking like, it's nobody's business.
Yeah, I love
And
jaywalking now.
yeah, jaywalking is technically illegal, but nobody cares. The cops don't care. You jaywalk right in front of them, they won't ticket you even.
I think that's
And
something that I brought back from New York, jaywalking.
yeah, it's like people just don't even care. They just walk when it's green light, walk when there's no car. It's like people got places to go, things to do. It's New York life, basically. Oh,
Like,
wait, there's another one. So there was a recent article that said, the air pollution in the subway
oh
stations
no.
are horrendous. Like they're like
Like,
unsafe.
what is like the comparison of the pollution that they're rating it as?
Well, there's like some sort of like air quality metric, like levels of like, I don't know, CO2, carbon dioxide, or like pollutants or like metals or whatever, or soot.
Because the
And like,
metals are like scratching each other.
well, that and also just poor ventilation, just like the subways are like, producing gas, and I don't know,
Wait,
it's like
where's the gas
dirty.
coming from? I thought they run on electric.
I don't know. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But anyways, it's just like poor ventilation's underground, and like people smoke too, and like there's always a lot of trash, but we'll touch on that next. But like the air there is like terrible, and you see like these kids who are like, I don't know, like 5 or lower, like, I mean, people have kids in New York, right? And like they're just there, and it's like they're smelling all this stuff, and it's like terrible for them. And like the average New Yorker's lungs is like basically black, which I've
Is it
seen
really?
actually. Yeah, I've seen it. Like somebody, donated their like, organs for like medical education. And in my first year in medical school, I saw like this like lung, and it's like basically blind. And they're like, oh yeah, this is what an average New Yorker's life, I mean, lung will look like
Oh
over the course of their
my
life.
gosh.
I'm like, I'm not surprised, because people smoke outside all the time, either weed or cigarettes, like everywhere you walk, basically. And then the subway station is like terrible for, air pollution, and people
So so
go
essentially
on
like
all the time.
secondhand smoke is bad for us.
Dude, there's no question that secondhand smoke is bad, but it's more
In any
like,
form.
it's any form of smoke is bad, but it's more like tertiary form of smoking, because there's no one actually smoking sometimes, and it's just bad in general. The smoke is just there. So,
So essentially you would still want to wear your mask down in the subway
oh
because of like
yeah,
the bullets
I
pollutions.
think like I think like that's a good thing, to be honest. Something people should do. Um, yeah. Speaking of, yeah, that's another thing. And New York is like one of the worst, other than like Philadelphia and Boston and DC. Those are like the other two, three cities that are bad.
Yeah, I remember that one weekend when I went and there for a while the sky was kind of like smoky and I asked
Hazy.
someone, yeah, hazy, and it
Yeah.
wasn't clouds, it was smoke,
Yeah, that was
or
when
some
we
kind of
were on
debris.
that that attraction, the edge,
Yeah, the
that
edge.
little the balcony. So basically, the edge is like this really tall building with an open observatory deck, like sort of like a balcony that you
It
can
looks like
see. Sort of,
Stark Tower.
yeah, basically Stark Tower, and it's supposedly the highest open balcony in the U.S. or something. And we went on a day where it's like cloudy, but they're like, nah, that's just air pollution. And I was like, oh my goodness,
I'm up here.
I know, smelling that, and it's like it's basically like L.A. Like
Yeah.
LA has that too. All these big cities. But speaking of like pollution, air, man, let's move on to the fact that trash everywhere, guys, trash everywhere.
What do you mean by trash everywhere?
So like, remember how I was saying like there's like different neighborhoods or boroughs in Manhattan? So like
Hmm.
the East Side and Upper East Side is cleaner, more wealthy area, and probably the wealthiest is like old money area. And there are more families there, so there's not a lot of trash there. But like Man, almost like everywhere, like the poorer areas and like maybe like Times Square, like tourist area, and like subway stations, there are trash everywhere. There's trash everywhere on the streets, just like nasty. And like not just trash, but like poop too. Like you have to like actually watch where you're walking in New York. Like there could be poop or like nasty stuff on the ground and you don't want to step in it. And it's just like it's dirty,
Yeah,
dirty.
it's strange because like me growing up in Texas in San Antonio, it was even though like it wasn't the greatest neighborhood, I it was safe, and it was so nice to sit on the sidewalk because we knew it was clean because yeah, it's not gray or black or anything. It's like actually like white, you know, white concrete because
White
it's been
concrete.
clean. Um, and we didn't mind sitting on there, but I know that when I've been there, I wouldn't want to sit on those sidewalks over there because yeah, those
Dude,
they're
New
so black.
yeah, New York is dirty. And like when it snows, like it's white initially, but literally the next day it's just black because it's dirty there. Like the walk, but the paths and everything just turns black. Like the snow is basically black, which is disgusting. And yeah, it's just too many people litter, and it's just and like, oh, I forgot to mention, like living in New York, let's not forget to mention, sometimes it's hard to find. So like for me, I have laundry units in my building, but it's not on the same floor, so I have to go up and down a little bit. Like people actually have to like look for laundry units in their like apartment, like when they look for housing, you gotta look to see if it has like a laundry unit inside, because that's not always the case. And they don't
Mhm.
even have like air conditioning sometimes in their building,
Oh
because New
man.
York is old. New York is an old city, and like all these things aren't there. And before I lived in my current apartment, I was basically in like a dorm room, and that building was built in the 60s, and it didn't even have AC. It had those like extra portable ones that stuck out on the
In the
window.
window.
Yeah, those window ones that they just stick in. Otherwise, they didn't even have AC. It's like a new addition. And yeah, it's just like some buildings don't even have AC. But I think they have heaters, and like some buildings don't have laundry in units. They have to go do laundry somewhere else. And not only that, but we were talking about the commute, right? Think
Yeah.
about the commute to get groceries, and then the line sometimes to get groceries, and then the fact that you have to carry everything back because most people don't drive in New York, because driving is difficult since you have to find parking, which is very
Oh
hard.
my gosh.
And so you're lugging groceries back to your apartment, wherever that may be, in the subway, with all these people, and then carrying it on a hot day,
Yeah, I think
or a
yeah,
cold day.
I actually am a person who actually likes to go get their groceries. I don't like it to be delivered all the time. And it is
That's
quite a walk.
luxury. That's luxury to get it delivered.
Yeah. And I like, I'm okay with getting it delivered, but I like to go and, waste time, as
Yeah,
some
but
say.
yeah, but you like drive and you're not in your
Oh
car
no,
with
no,
the
I'm
AC.
talking about like when I am in New York. Like I don't mind the walk because I am mostly inside. And yeah, it is still kind of walk, even for me. And then you still have to kind of carry it. And so you had to be like kind of
Park.
I guess in a way thoughtful of what what you want to buy.
Yeah,
Um
you
and
can't buy
then I
like a
think
whole
going
bunch of
back on
stuff.
your topic of like being, I guess, driving and trying to have parking, I think you have to be pretty much a pro at driving and parking. And I think your friend Max is a pretty good driver and knows where to park. And so,
Well, I
so
think
shout out to Max.
well, I think because he grew up here
That's
basically,
true.
so, and like people here like parallel park like pros, whereas like in Texas it's like, what is parallel parking? You need like a huge amount of space to like try to park a car, and
I
it's
don't
like,
need space.
I mean, it's like, oh, okay, okay, but it's like the level is like not the same. Yeah, I don't. In my opinion, New York is only good for as a tourist attraction. Like you stay and you come and check things out for maybe like a week and then bust out of there, man. Because the cost of living is also like all those things I just mentioned add to the fact that you got to pay federal taxes, state tax, city tax, and the fact that rent is expensive. Things are here are expensive unless you want, cheap stuff because, the
Yeah.
quality, the same quality, the thing for the same quality anywhere else is cheaper, period. Everything in New York is expensive. Um, and yeah, I don't understand why people, well, I do understand why people want to come here. It's because of the allure, a lot of opportunities, a lot of different people, meet people, job opportunity, and such. But in terms of like quality of life, I don't think it's that great.
Yeah, I know that well I think another perspective that we can take, I think just for the viewers, um, you know, when I see it, yes, we can totally view it as like, man, these are kind of like hard times, what's up, New York, why aren't you updating? But there is like buildings that are really updated, which are like the big skyriser buildings.
Dude, those are expensive.
They are expensive. And yeah, and I guess again it just shows like, even though we hear about New York being a place of, I guess, kind of like not just luxury but a destination where people want to go, it just shows as well like, even for New York it can still be outdated.
Oh yeah, there are definitely a lot of areas that are outdated, but I mean, it's just the areas that are poor. There are the areas that are like wealthy are like, upper east side, lower east side, downtown, Tribeca, where Jay-Z and Beyonce are, you know,
Dang.
and like, that's like money, like
Yeah,
basically,
you need money to actually be kind of in a current location, modern modern
yeah,
looking, modern
you need
plumbing.
money. You need money for, good food, do different things, have a good apartment, live in a nice place area. You need money basically. And like the nicer areas like Upper East Side, like family rent is like basically like $3,000 a month. Just like for like, I don't know, like a 2 bedroom, 2 by 2 maybe, or 1 by 1, I don't know, but it's like $3,000 a month at least. And like those downtown areas where, yuppies go, or like, looks nice or like wealthy, whatever, I think it can go up to like $4,000, and it's just like
Wow, it's
crazy.
crazy.
You can like rent a house or something in like Texas with like 5 rooms or something, whereas in New York you're living in a box.
Yeah. Well, I guess, is there anything that you do like in New York?
Yeah, I know. We were like
Bashing on it.
we're like bashing on New York while I'm in New York. It's like all these like negative con. Well, what I've heard is that, New York obviously has a lot of food choices, cuisines, different kind of cuisines. If you're a foodie, great place. All these different places you can try, different foods you can eat, cuisines, cafes, rooftop bars, more bars. And personally, I'm not a foodie, so I don't really like, but Bob is, so that might be up his alley. And I don't really drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol usually, and I don't really care about coffee either. So I'm not like this cafe person. So like the food scene is lost on me, guys. I'm sorry, but for other
I think
people,
kind of going along those terms as well. There is a lot of things that are pretty good in terms of food, and I guess what else? There are certain places that I guess we kind of went to, and they were on. I guess I'm not sure where you got that list from. I guess people recommended it to you, right?
people recommend it. I don't go and look at find places for food.
Okay, yeah, and so there was a pizza place we went to. I guess it was recommended, and there was a lot of people, but it was pretty average, or I guess below average, in my opinion.
Dang, you got some high
What was that pizza
standards.
place?
Luxury. I don't
It
remember,
was
but
pretty expensive though.
it
It
was
was,
expensive. It was
yeah.
very oily, right? It was that
Yes, oily and
oily.
kind of burnt a little bit.
Yeah.
tried. And then there was another coffee place too, and it wasn't that great either.
I don't remember the coffee place.
I forget
Oh
the name
yeah,
of
I remember. Yeah, we got that coffee place. I don't know. I think I just like Googled like stuff on like
it.
what to go eat in New York. That's like highlight, and then like on Yelp or something,
Mm.
people put that in, and yeah, I don't know.
There was two bagel places that I went to. One next to your church, and it's called Zebra, and it has um like
I think
food
that's
that you
just
can cook, and
uh
then a grocery store as well,
yeah,
and it was
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good. And then there was another place we went to. We sat down and I had a bagel, and it was the most delicious bagel I've ever had. I was like amazed of
Was
how
it like a
fresh.
small store?
Yeah, it was a small store. It was more downtown, kind of next to the AMC. We saw like I guess the New York Marathon happening during that time.
Don't
But I'm
remember,
just saying
but
like you can still find pretty good stuff there too.
yeah,
But
I think
I
it's
wouldn't say not everyone's recommendations is the greatest, because I guess again, not everyone's the same.
yeah, it's like personal preference, but I think like these small shops, local shops are like what is it? I don't know, like what's it called? Like local personal owned shops are like the ones that are better.
They tend to the quality of the stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing that's good besides the food scene is probably the museums. There's a lot of museums. If you love going to museums and like show let's talk, just stick with museums. There's just a lot of things to see and do in New York, that's for sure. So that's another plus. Like I probably checked out like all the different museums, most of the ones, because I go in for free as a student, perks of being a student.
Oh, it's not because you're Mike.
No, it's not because of me, unfortunately. But
Unfortunately, guys.
but the my favorite one is the Metropolitan Museum. It's huge. I don't think I've seen everything in it, to be honest. Like spend quality time looking at it.
Yeah,
Like,
guys, yeah, I haven't even gone into any of the museums in New
well,
York.
that's because it was COVID.
COVID, I think it was COVID, and we just didn't have time when pre-COVID either. There's just so
Yeah,
many places we actually went to.
yeah, like all these like attractions such as the Edge, like the outdoor sky deck,
Yeah.
basically, and these different things. But yeah, the museums are a great thing. It's really nice to see all these cool things in the museum, and there's a ton of people who go to it. Just a lot of cool things. And another thing that's cool is the entertainment. The well, you got basketball, which we haven't seen, which we need to go
We
see.
need to go. I
You know
love the
them,
basketball games.
them Brooklyn Nets, bro. Let's hear it, bro. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden, all there. We gotta go before they leave and like quit because they didn't beat LeBron basically again. But yeah, the basketball also the Knicks. But another thing is the shows, the Broadway shows.
Yeah.
Remember what we saw?
Yeah, we saw Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, and again, if you heard the our traveling podcast, we mentioned a little bit about it. And yeah, I just love the production, just love how much detail and just like how much they try to captivate the audience and being part of the story, because I felt like I was the Dementors were coming to me trying to suck my soul.
Mm, Bobby's
Dementors.
soul, Bobby's soul. But yeah, and I just really like the visual effects. Like it was really well done.
the If you haven't seen it, guys, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna spoil it. But yeah, the way they do the time um travel was so cool. It's like boom, some like frequency of like bouncing on the walls, and it was just so cool to see and be part of.
Yeah, and like all these different little effects that they do, and like Bobby said, the mentor thing was awesome and interesting. And just a quick pointer, I think they probably could see it. In the fall, the Broadway is opening up again around
Yeah.
September this year, so shows are gonna be back. But yeah, that Harry Potter was really good. Yeah, loved it.
Is there any plays that you kind of want to watch? I know we watched Hamilton on Disney Plus. shout out to Disney Plus.
Where that
and
sponsorship at?
right. But yeah, we also kind of watched well, I think that's pretty much it. Well, I know I saw Wicked, but that wasn't in Broadway. It was just at UT. And I know that The Lion King is coming out in September as well. And then I know Dear Evan Hansen is making a, you know, movie version of the play. And I'm kind of like wanting to see the play before I even see the movie, just because, oh, why would I want to see the movie if I haven't seen the play yet? And I just heard the play is just so much better.
It's probably more thorough than the movie,
Yeah.
because the movie can't be too long, but the play can be like 4 hours if they want it to be. I actually watched another Broadway show right when I got into med school. They gave it to us for free, so I was like, why not, since it's Broadway? But it was an interesting show. It was called Kinky Boots, actually. And it's like this guy's boots. It's like, oh, he was a boot maker, and like somehow he found his identity in making boots and just being yourself, because I think he had something that was different from what his father wanted or something, and he wanted to make boots. I think it
What
was like,
was what was kinky about the boots?
I think he liked to make boots for women or something. I don't even remember, to be honest, but um yeah, he was just like self-discovering himself to follow his passion that's against his dad or something. I might be totally wrong. This is like 3 years ago and I totally don't remember. But it was my first time watching it, and I was like, oh, I was kind of like, I didn't even know what to expect. I saw the title, but it didn't register in my mind. And but it was good singing. I mean, they were good actors, a lot of good choreography. Uh and yeah, so that was my first experience with Broadway. I have to still say, Harry Potter is still the best, obviously.
Right?
Them visual effects can't be beat. And who isn't a Harry Potter fan? If you aren't, then too bad. But it's word, man. It's Rios. Where's that, man? Too
Yeah.
bad. Uh,
Well, I guess kind of like I know that we mentioned, a lot of these things that have been kind of going on for you that just isn't really appealing to you. And I know that you mentioned, yeah, there's just children, I guess going in the subways and living life. Would you want to raise a family there and
Heck no,
knowing all these
bro.
things?
No, like the kids get exposed to like these, you know, well, they see like all these homeless people sleeping on the subway. They smell all these people smoking. They see all this trash. They hear like curse words, outside, and there's again smelling all these bad things, bad influence. And like you see like these like subway signs that said like museum of sex, and it's like, what? There's like a museum literally about sex, and like you see that
Mhm.
like displayed right across the subway like door or something, like for everyone to see. And again, these schools, you don't know what they're teaching, the curriculum. It's New York. And also like just the cost of like daycare here, like childcare, is so expensive too.
Mhm.
um Unless you have the luxury of your like spouse or like your significant other like being a stay-at-home parent and homeschooling, it's going to be very difficult just to get around and do things and pay for things. I mean, I know like there's like people here who send their kids to, like this daycare across the street because it's close, and it's like literally like super expensive. I can't remember.
Are you talking
I
about
don't
the
want to say,
Horizon thing?
yeah, like
Oh,
this
okay.
little daycare thing right
Yeah, it's like a
across from.
building and there's like something on
Hmm.
top of the roof.
Yeah, yeah,
I always
it's
wonder
like,
about
I
that.
think it's like, I don't know, like 40K a year or something like that.
Are you serious?
It's very expensive. It's like robbing people. I don't even know how they afford it. But it's like crazy. And it's like, I don't want to raise a family here. Are you kidding me? Would you?
As and my point, like I can see it in both ways. Like, yeah, it would be really hard for a person to raise children in New York and and not try to make them exposed to all these things that will make them question, why is this like this and what are they doing, because I know that me and you just walked one time down the street to pick up food, and I saw a guy. He just went to the side of the wall of a building, and I thought he was just talking. And he pulled down his pants and started peeing, and I was just, you know, um, lost the words because he looked like a normal guy, and he just put down his pants and started peeing,
Well,
like
I can
like
talk.
as if there was no restroom anywhere. Understanding it was
talk.
COVID time.
I can top that. I literally, during my rotation while I was walking back, some guy right in front of me pulled down his pants and started taking a dump in front of me.
That is crazy.
In like broad daylight, not even in a corner, just like right there on the sidewalk where there are people.
Was he in a rush?
I don't know. He just walked there in front of me and just put on his pants and just started pooping. And I was like, what the? And like, if you have a kid, they're just like, what is
that
this?
normal? Can I do that?
Or it's just like, and then you see like people like yelling or like cussing and arguing, like, right there outside. And it's like,
Yeah.
do I want my kids to see that? No.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there to raise a family or children. I would want it to be in some kind of suburban area where it is, more calmer and safer to live in.
I think that's why most people go to suburbs, and also,
and live in Texas.
Oh yes, low cost of living, less tax. But if your kids are used to like, oh, you get that private car, that luxury, you're gonna grow up and be like, oh, that's not the norm. Can we do one more?
Yeah, we can do one more.
Plus, remember, out of the two, I can't think of anything. You gotta help me.
The Asian place we went to with the great chicken.
Well, I guess like that goes back to like.
Do you want to give a shout out to that restaurant? Do you know the name of it?
I think it was like, oh my goodness, I can't even remember. Was it like Hao Bao or something like that? No.
Yes.
Was it?
Something Bao. Something Bao.
It was a good place.
Such a good place. Good atmosphere. Great location. It's worth the travel and the money. It was just so great. Good food. It was really good food. And the service is pretty good there too.
It's decent. But I think I think that goes back to the food, but I think there's just a lot of opportunities in here, I guess another plus, just so many people, so many different things you can do and meet and such. But yeah. New York's got its pluses and minuses. It just depends on what you're looking for. Not everybody's looking for the same thing, but
it's true.
I hope this gives some perspective or the reals about New York life, and not just, oh, you see the pretty skyline on a postcard and want to go there, basically.
Is there anything else that you want to do before you leave? Because I know this is your senior year.
Yeah, bruh, I'm a senior. But I don't really know. To be honest, I think I hit every single thing that's like major in New York City.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What do you think I should do still?
I don't know. Have you done Upper Manhattan or upstate New York?
I mean, that's not New York City. That's just New York.
Oh, that's true.
I feel like we're like branching out already to like other areas because we've like basically covered everything in like New York.
I think for me, I haven't even seen or been to the Statue of Liberty, and that's like one of the iconic things.
Yeah, but you can't go up. You can only like take a ferry to go there.
That I wouldn't mind. I just want to like go see it.
All right, we can see it when you come in. Like what is it? 4th of July.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, you can be patriotic and go to Statue of Liberty. But yeah. That's what Bobby wants to do. What I want to do is, like you said, go upstate New York and see the fall foliage away from all.
That's true, and I think we're supposed to do that as well in September.
Yeah, I mean that's when fall is. So yeah, stuff to look forward to. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Got some laughs, got some perspective about New York. Hopefully it made you, want to go more, or, gave you some real insight onto what it's like to actually live in a big city.
Yeah. Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say just don't think because we say these things that you shouldn't go at all. But do go and experience it yourself and see what it's like. And
Yeah.
you fall in love with it, then I'm thankful that you did. And if you didn't, I'm glad that you found out.
The truth. You found the truth. But yeah, this is just our perspective. So yeah. That's pretty much it about New York. I think Mr. Bob's here has some announcements to make.
Yeah. So yeah, for some announcements, we have just launched the YouTube channel. And just to kind of give perspective of what we and how that will kind of come out. 1 week we're gonna send out the audio version on the podcast platforms, and then the video version will come out the following week. Of course, video and audio, just because it takes time to create the video version and just whatever the thumbnail that comes along with it. And again, I don't want to stress myself, nor does Mike want to stress himself when we're making these kind of things, because we want it to be something that's fun still, and allowing it to be stretched out in those kind of ways makes it more enjoyable for us to kind of still do and not be stressed, or I guess in a way just continuing to just make it like another job for us. But we want to have fun and just take it easy as we go along, if that helps.
And it'll create more genuine content
yeah,
without making it feel like work, and also just have some relaxation and fun with it, between us, and also hopefully with you guys listening, and in the future maybe even watching us. But yeah.
And then we do have when you do find the page on YouTube, it's Twin Dragons, not Twin Dragons podcast, but just Twin Dragons. Do comment, like, and subscribe. And we do also have an Instagram for a while, and do follow, comment, say something, tell us what you want to hear in an incoming episode, or just like, hey, maybe it'd be cool to just kind of add some effects when you're describing a story, or just tell us anything. We're open to suggestions, and I'm willing to work whatever I can to make it more funner or enjoyable for y'all.
Yeah, and constructive feedback is also
good.
We're new at this, so bear with us.
Yeah, but just to give you a hint, this is another episode we did. A prior episode, we totally scratched it because my mic was so bad. Yeah, it was just, it wasn't great quality. And yeah, I decided not to put it because I didn't want to hurt y'all's ears, and decided to scratch and start over and do it in a much later time when we feel comfortable doing it again, instead of like making it work. And so, yeah, that's how we're kind of doing it, for us to make it enjoyable and not, yes, again, work.
So yeah, so thanks again for listening to this podcast episode, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
All right, see ya, guys.
Later.
Thank you again, guys, for listening to the Twin Dragons podcast. If you guys want to know more about a topic or want us to do a specific video, let us know in the comments below.
And please like and subscribe if you want to help support us. Keep a lookout on our social media accounts so that you can keep up to date with any new episodes that come out and get connected. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.